Welcome. This is a short introductory video to demonstrate how to access PanMesh, which is the numerical well test simulator add-on for Pan System. The model building capability for PanMesh can be accessed in Pan System if you click here on data preparation, on well, reservoir and fluid description, and then on numerical model, which will open up what is essentially a drawing pad. At the top of the drawing pad you will see a series of tabs which constitute the essential parts of building a model for PanMesh. The first part is reservoir geometry, which is this drawing pad in which we see ourselves. The next tab is data for the wellbore configuration. The next pad is the material properties, which when we have no regions defined, essentially no reservoir body defined, these cannot be accessed. And similarly, we have no because we have no region defined, material distribution is not defined. There's run mode, which is a more advanced feature which we won't discuss in this video. And finally there's the very useful model check tab, which tells us whether our model is valid. And we can see here straight away that we've got 3 X's on the essential parts of the model, which are the reservoir geometry, the well configuration and material properties, because none of it has been defined. So if we go back to the reservoir geometry tab, we can build a simple cuboid model by clicking on rectangle. And what we get straight away there is a reservoir defined. Here we're seeing a plan view. It is square and it's got a wellbore, a vertical wellbore at the center of it. So if we go now to model check, we'll see we've got a lot of the model defined in that one step. All we're missing is the perforation information, which is on the well configuration page or tab. What's nice about this feature here is if we have something showing an X, as in there's an error or problem in it, if we double click on that, it takes us to the appropriate tab, and we see highlighted the data that's missing. So this is asking us to enter a completion length. Before we do that, let's go back here to the plan view, and if I click on scale model, I can adjust the size of this reservoir to suit my needs, the starting point, if you will. The dimension 1270 feet was taken as a function of the size of the default window, but we could change that, let's say, to something rectangular, maybe 2000 feet by 1000 feet, and let's say we want it 100 feet thick. Now we have a reservoir of those dimensions, and let's say we want it 50% complete, so the completion length will be half the thickness. I can enter 50 here. Now if I go to my model check, I see that all the aspects of my model, which are the thicknesses at each of the defining points, the inclination of the top and bottom surface, the nature of region 1, all the wellbore information and material properties. Now what's interesting here is that by default the material properties have been taken from whatever model I was working on in the normal Pan System interface. And the material distribution now is very simple. It is just a single region, and it's of material 1, which is this material here, material 1. And we see that this model is inherited from the model which I was working on in Pan System. It has inherited a skin, which if I wish I can remove the skin by saying the mechanical skin is 0, and that's gone. So now there's a very simple model, straight away 50% complete, and we can run this immediately in PanMesh by clicking on OK here, coming down to Simulation, Numerical Simulation tab, PanMesh New Run. It's chosen the span of the run from the flow data that I was originally working on in Pan System, and if I simply click OK, PanMesh is opened up, and what we see here now is a three-dimensional plan view which I can rotate at different angles and see my reservoir, and you will see at the center there the wellbore. Now controls in PanMesh in the simulator interface, there are many controls. You can see down here, for example, on the bottom left we have a picture-in-picture which is showing us the part of the reservoir that we are zooming in to. Okay. Now, before I show you any more controls in this interface, I will show you the simple step required to run the simulation, which is Run Simulation. Once I click on Run Simulation, this window appears on the bottom right hand side and it generates the response curve. So this is the response curve that you want in Pan System to do your analysis. So basic features in PanMesh, in the visualization and simulation engine, we can see a color contour plot. Now that's at the end of the cycle when we've gone into semi-steady state. But if I pull this green bar here, or line, allows me to control what I'm seeing in this window by moving back in time essentially through the simulation. So I can see as I move that, I'm seeing the pressure response move out and hit the boundaries. So this is a very nice feature, because if we combine this with up here on the toolbar ISO surface, if I click on ISO surface, we can see here the ISO surface, or radius of investigation. Now we started out, we have a wellbore which is a 50% completion length. So you can see it begins early time, very early time here. The pressure response moves out. So we can see this little bump on the derivative in the response curve corresponds to the partial completion. And as you would expect, as you get out of the partial completion effect, you get into standard radial flow here, which you see by this horizontal section with a derivative value of 0.5 roughly. And if I zoom back out a little bit further, we see the radius of investigation move out and hit the boundary, and as it hits the boundaries we get the upturn here in the derivative, etc. So that is a very simple example of using the PanMesh feature to get a numerical model and a response curve. Once we are happy with this, we can close the window either by clicking here or by clicking on the Pan System icon. It says, do we want to use this pressure response in Pan System? And if we click yes, we go back into Pan System, and it allows us to import what is essentially a TCX file into Pan System for use in Pan System. So thank you for your attention in this, and there will be more videos demonstrating more features of PanMesh shortly. Thank you.